Hey everyone, have I here bring a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, I didn't think I would need to do this, but yes, I'm going to be doing an update to the best teams on Global. This is the pre-worldwide celebration, and yeah, so with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So this will be an abbreviated version, so if you want more insight and more details about the teams involved in the top 10, you definitely want to watch the August 2024 Best Teams Edition, the full version. Again, this is a abbreviated version. So the reason why I had to do all these updates here, or at least this update here, is because Global said non-stop banners for the month of August. That's what they did. So of course we ended up just recently getting LR Cell Max, and then of course the EZA to Team Turles. Now both of these units are good units. Cell Max is a very good unit, and then Team Turles for right now isn't as impactful as Cell Max. Technically speaking, you know, Turles does absolutely nothing to any top 10 team in the global list, or at least my list, that is. And I'm going to be very interested in seeing what they're going to do with Planetary Destruction and Terrifying Conquerors, which it is a support unit for. Now, for Cell Max, on the other hand, I thought he would have a much bigger impact on the overall top 10 teams, but he really just had an impact on a few teams that, you know, helped them move a couple of spots up, which of course that makes a lot of sense. So previously, right, the previous video I talked about that's going to have more details about each team, it did not have Cell Max. So slotting Cell Max in some of these teams here definitely was able to move the needle on a couple of these teams and move them up the rankings. But the remaining portion of the top 10, you can kind of see here, like, you know, Superheroes and Universal Survival Saga, Super Saiyans, Pure Saiyans. Cell Max has no impact on all that, right? So again, I think that's important to understand that Cell Max, while being a standalone amazing unit, the overall impact isn't as impactful like a EZA to MUA Goku and Evolution Vegeta. Like, those two units impacted a ton of teams and moved them all the way up to, you know, top 10 rankings, whereas Cell Max just a few teams. So speaking of the few teams, again, abbreviated version, I'm not going to go over, really I'm only going to go over like 4 teams here and on this list here. The first one that I think impacts the most and helps this move up in the ranks is going to be the Broly team, right? So Broly, you know, you could have had someone else in this spot here. I just slot Cell Max in the top spot here. I think if you were to do this instead of having Rosé on here, which of course has some domain issues, right, you can go ahead and possibly even slot in the support hit, the STR hit on here, and he's being a super bosses does not affect the passive for Cell Max. Remember, the passive for Cell Max, all the units, generally speaking, on the team should be a one particular category so that it can activate its passive or never lose its passive. And that is really important. Now, I think most people are running a double Cell Max though, right, on super bosses. And what that looks like here is a reduction on the leader skill, that you're going to be giving up an additional, basically on certain units, 50 additional percentage, but you're adding at least one key, right? So Cell Max's leader skills, artificial life forms, and super bosses, key plus 450%. So half of the leader, in this case Broly, is going to give you super bosses transformation boost and full power at 170, and then exploding rage and movie bosses at 30%, giving that 200% there. And that's going to give you that opportunity to then run another Cell Max as a friend leader, and then this gives you opportunity to run 2 Cell Maxes on the team. Now, if you do that, first position is going to be amazingly strong. Again, only if you're bringing the right units. In this case, we're running a full superheroes team, and it has to make sure that you're running superhero units. That's why I have all these X's on all these other units on here, because you can't run transformation boost and full power that doesn't have super bosses, because it will really mess up that that passive, or eliminate the passive that Cell Max has. So again, very important, you have to do this. So it does remove a lot of the flexibility that Broly has that I really liked about the unit on here. So it still has a flexibility, right? You just have to remove cell max, but adding cell max, it becomes a little bit more restrictive, actually a lot more restrictive. So another team that you're going to be running the similar style on, right, with cell max being the secondary leader, is going to be a Rosé. So this is going to be more similar to what I showed you before, over like on this team here, right? So it's like the Broly team here, very similar, but you're running 2 cells. Now, the reason why you prefer not to run it with Rosé as the leader, oops, I have a down arrow here for some reason. Let me remove that. The reason why you don't want to run Rosé as the primary leader or the half leader on here, because it provides Cell Max a reduction, another reduction in the leader skill, right? Because Cell Max does not have Realm of Gods or Accelerated Battle or Exploding Rage. Interestingly enough, he doesn't have, I guess he was always rageful, but he got awakened and he was pretty angry. It would have been nice to have him on Exploding Rage. So anyway, I think he should be on there. I think that's a category, and Dokkan's been always consistent about being inconsistent of categories, right? So if you are going to run this type of team right here, it's better off running the Broly, being that it's going to have Cell as the half portion of the 200% and the rest 150 here. So again, but that is an option to run. So if you don't have like Broly here, you take him off, and you might put in like some of these other units down here below, Topo. You can even run then this right here and bring this unit down here as a floater, right? So you can kind of mix things up if you don't have the AGL Broly and have to run it like this, right? So the other option, so you have this option and this option. The other option is Zamasu. So Zamasu, you can also run a double Cell Max as well, but it's actually the worst case scenario, right? It's the worst case scenario here, being that you have Cell Max running at 200%, at least half the leader skill at 200%. You have 170% half leader skill, and then here you're running them at 150%. So might as well run a Cell Max double leader in reality, but if you run Zamasu, you have all these other units getting 200%, right? So there is at least some sort of benefit in terms of that. So, but limited bench strength, as you can see here, and then I put big down arrows because the Cell Max is running at 150%. It's still viable, but I would say not necessary, because if you have Rosé, you just run Rosé with the exact same team, and you'll have a better half leader skill, right? So, and again, you can just run it very, very similar to the other team on here. Now, if you don't have Rosé, then you can just put someone else on here. Now, here's the interesting thing: when we get AGL Jiren, Topo is just going to be so much better. He's still runnable, but he's going to be so much better when AGL Jiren is going to be available on these teams here, right? So, can't wait for that to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen until this summer. I think I've said it many a times. If it comes before then, be very happy about that, but again, I don't think that's going to happen. The last team that you can do a double Cell Max leader skill run here and be somewhat viable is actually a Movie Heroes team, but technically not. It's actually an Artificial Life Forms team. So Movie Heroes, Gamma 1 on Movie Heroes, technically speaking, is what you're running here, but he does have a secondary leader skill in Artificial Life Forms, and that's what you're seeing here. Now, the biggest issue with this is the majority of the team is running at 170%, right? And then you have 150% Artificial Life Forms leader. You do get that extra key, that one extra key there, but having the Artificial Life Forms leader here, it's an interesting option, right? It's an interesting option. So, but again, split leader skill here will make it a little bit more viable than not running it at 200%. But this is actually a very fun team to run. So if you haven't ran this team with Gamma 1 as the one half of the leader and then Cell Max the other half of the leader, running 2 Cell Maxes, you got the Boo, you got the Revival Boo there, you got Boo-Han, you got Tech Boo, Transformation Boo there, you got a great support unit running at 200% with Gamma 1, but still 50% with Cell Max. But that's a great support unit to have on that spot as well with the Kid Boo. So Again, if you haven't ran this team here, it's a very fun team to run. I don't think I'm going to separate this from Movie Heroes. So it's going to get some... Movie Heroes is going to get a few extra points, even though it's technically not Movie Heroes. I don't know what to do with this team, because, again, it's a viable team. I don't want to put them in the number 10 spot as artificial life forms, but maybe I have to. I'm not sure. It would have been incredible if this Boo here was artificial life forms leader. That would have been really, really, really fun. Technically, you can run a 180% leader with Buhan here as artificial life forms, right? So artificial life forms and Majin Power. So technically, you can run that as well if you don't have Gamma 1. So I might do that in the future. That Cell Max / Buhan leader can be the artificial life forms leader, and with Gamma 1. But haven't decided on there. You know, my ranking system is it's so wide. There's so many teams and combinations you can build, right? So anyway, the last team I'm going to talk about is a Cell Max team that you can run, but you're not going to be running as a secondary leader because it's a Movie Bosses team, and Cell Max is not a Movie Bosses leader. Now, I did just go ahead and put in the new Turles in here. He's only going to be running at 170%, and there's not enough Planetary Destruction or Terrifying Conquerors to increase his ability to tank either. So he's kind of a quasi support. I don't know. I was just looking at this team here. I was like, okay, what can we build here that can make a lot of sense? And unfortunately, this team does not make a lot of sense here. But the reason why I'm showing this to you is that right now, Hirudegarn is your quote-unquote best Movie Bosses leader. That's going to totally change in the Worldwide Celebration with the Broly. We assume Broly will have a Movie Bosses at the 170%. That's going to absolutely take over Hirudegarn, making him very obsolete unless you're going to be running just a Resurrected Warriors team. That's the only reason why you'll probably run Hirudegarn here as a dodge or die unit. So, but Cell Max is runnable on this team here. It's a very goofy team. But yeah, whatever Broly we're going to be getting, you know, this type of Broly here, this then turns into an absolute amazing Movie Bosses team is what's probably going to look like. Easy A to the LR Tech Broly, probably Easy A to this unit as well, stuff like that. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see at the end of the Worldwide Celebration where movie Bosses is going to actually end up. So anyway, again, this is my new rankings. So I went through all that. Here's my new rankings summary here. So the new rankings is Movie Bosses moved from here. So this is my previous ranking. And so there's only two, the number 5, number 10 spot moved 2 spots. That's really what happened. So this is my update here is that I consider Movie Bosses now the number 3 spot. However, 2 and 1 are just head and shoulders. It's like a full level above 3, 4, and 5. You can argue 3, 4, and 5 here in any of the spots. So you can say, well, I like Majin Buu Saga at number 3. Great. There's argument for that. I like Movie Heroes at number 3. Yes, there's an argument for that as well. I think these 3 here are almost interchangeable at this point in time. And really depends on how you play the game and which one you enjoy. Any of these 3 can be the number 3 spot. But if I ranked them right now, I'm going to put Super Bosses, movie Heroes, and then Majin Buu Saga 3, 4, and 5. I think 6 and 7 with Super Saiyans, Vegeta's Family, and Pure Saiyans, Hybrid Saiyans. These 2 here are cemented at 6 or 7. They're not quite 3, 4, and 5, but they're also not 8, 9, or 10, right? So I think these are kind of cemented here. This team here is going to be both of these teams are going to be very interested to get a huge upgrade, possibly huge upgrade, because of Broly, right? Because Broly's going to fit really nice here if he's going to be on the Super Saiyans leader skill, right? So this runs a Super Saiyans, and he's an extreme class, so it's going to work quite nicely here, I think. The biggest issue is with Godku. Godku, you're not going to be able to run Broly because it totally messes up Godku's passive because you have to run a full super team. What we need is Broly to possibly be Extreme Pure Saiyans leader. That's going to give some opportunity to not have to use Godku as the Pure Saiyans leader. So, and you can run some extreme units on here. for example, Vegeta, and then of course the Broly. So again, interesting to see what the Pure Saiyan's leader skill could also be. Maybe a Carnival, if they're gonna do another Super Saiyan Goku Carnival, maybe it's Carnival Super Saiyan Goku Pure Saiyan's 200%. Wow, that would be a pretty wild leader skill there. So. And then, of course, 8, 9, and 10, I just put Zamasu up in the 8th spot here. I think the team becomes a lot more flexible with the Cell Max, a lot more manageable. You don't have to run, really multiple, what I'm saying, the multiple domains if you don't have to, technically speaking. Yes, Zamasu runs out, kind of early in the fight there, but he does 95% of all the content here. So remember, I don't judge teams by just pure endgame, right? Endgame's a major consideration, but it's also, if you were to start the game, like how would you start the game, right? That's why I don't have like Cell Max as probably it's probably top 5 in LRs, but you don't want to start the game with just Cell Max. He's so limited, you have to have a lot of other units involved. But if you just ended up getting like Zamasu, you can build a team as a brand new player. And build this team here because of the secondary leader skill so good, and those types of things that I think again are just highly beneficial. Same thing for right here in the Vegito Blue, right? So Vegito Blue also has that super class 150 that's really good, that helps out brand new players. So again, it's there's so many variables I go through. I think this makes it kind of a nice overall list. But let me know in the comment section below. I thought this was going to be a quick update. I talked forever. So luckily, hopefully you guys got through that okay. And Worldwide Campaign is right around the corner, and wish you guys all the best in summoning for whatever units we're getting. I don't know exactly when this video is going to be dropping, so I hope we've already gotten the maybe the preview already for what's to come. Maybe not all the details yet, but at least the preview. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.